Hey friends, my name is Matt. I'm the youth and family pastor at Cornerstone Church in Marshfield. Here today with your Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. And if it is your first time with us, let me just say welcome. So glad to have you here with us, and want you to know here at Cornerstone we are making our way through the New Testament, reading through it this year of 2022. And we'd invite you, if you need a Bible reading plan as part of your personal worship plan on a daily basis, please join us. There's a link that you can click right next to this video, and you can go ahead and join us in a community of believers reading the Bible together. So we are in 1 Corinthians, the letter in the New Testament written by the Apostle Paul. We're in chapter 4 today. And before we get to chapter 4, I am guessing that many of you have heard the saying before, more is caught than is taught, right? More is caught than is taught. And this I have learned to be so true, not just as a pastor and not when I was a teacher in a public school, but I have learned this more than anything from being a parent, right? And perhaps if you're a parent out there, you relate with this this adage, this lesson that more is caught than taught, because it's so true with our kids, right? We can say all the right things, teach them all the good things, and the reality is there's a very good chance that they're going to repeat a lot of the poor actions that we have and behaviors at times, because we're all sinners, we all fall short, and we all make bad decisions. And for some reason, our kids catch that more than they do the lessons that we try to teach them from our mouths. So anyway, this is something that I have just learned is a very true statement. More is caught than taught. And as we read in 1 Corinthians 4, I'm not going to read the whole thing for you today, but the Apostle Paul was a believer in this as well. It becomes very obvious. You see, as you read through the first part of 1 Corinthians 4, and really even the first part of the letter of 1 Corinthians, it doesn't take long to find out that Paul is a bit upset and frustrated with what's going on with the Corinthian church and their behavior, their conduct, their orthopraxy, if you will. And so he gets to this point in 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 14, and he writes these things in 5 verses. I'm just going to read through verse 18. Here's what he says to them. He says, I am not writing this to shame you. And you go, okay, what's this that he's writing them? Let me encourage you to go back and read the first 13 verses, okay? And you'll understand the context there. But he says, I'm not writing this to shame you, but to warn you as my dear children. Even though you have 10,000 guardians in Christ, or other translations say guides in Christ, you do not have many fathers. For in Christ Jesus, I, Paul, became your father through the gospel. Therefore, he says in verse 16, this is huge. He says, therefore, I urge you to imitate me. For this reason, I am sending to you Timothy, my son, whom I love, who is faithful in the Lord. He will remind you of my way of life in Christ Jesus, which agrees with what I teach everywhere in every church. How about that, huh? So the Apostle Paul, in more than one place in these 5 verses, he is urging the Corinthian church to imitate how he lives, how he conducts himself, how he behaves, how he lives out his faith. Again, his orthopraxy, not just his orthodoxy, what he believes, but his orthopraxy, how he lives out what he believes. And so he urges them, I want you to follow me. I want you to imitate me. I want you to be just like me. Because as you do, you are going to be more like Christ. And he says, so I'm going to send, I can't come to you right now, so I'm going to send you Timothy, because he's not going to remind you of the things that I have said, but he's going to remind you of my way of life, which agrees with what I teach everywhere in every church that I've been to. In church and friends who are listening today, I don't know about you, but this challenges me, right? Would I dare write something like that to a group of people? Would I dare say that to you? Would I dare say that to students that I teach on Wednesday nights or on Sunday mornings? Imitate me. Follow my way of life, because you're going to be more like Christ as you do. Well, it's a great challenge to me, friends, and I hope it's a great challenge to you. It should be a great challenge to all of us, because as we continue in our walk with Christ, if we are following Him truly and our conduct is following our belief, our orthopraxy is following our orthodoxy, well, then we should be able to say to others, you can follow me. Because as you follow me, Paul says in another letter, he says, as you follow me, you're following Christ because I'm following Christ. So friends, I leave you with that challenge today. Remember, more is caught than taught, and Paul agrees with that. And so friends, have a great day. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.